Hi stationery friends, I just wanted to come on here and do a quick review of my favorite stationery from 2025. I absolutely love watching these videos from other creators. I love seeing what everyone uses. Everyone's so different and has different needs for their planning and journaling. So I just think it's kind of fascinating to see what everyone uses. So I thought it could be fun to come on here and share what I've been using and loving this year. I think first we're going to start off with markers and pens. So the first thing I've really been loving is the Tombow dual tip brush markers, which I know sounds super basic because everyone seems to use these. And I honestly put off buying them for such a long time just because they were so popular. I don't know, something about buying something everyone liked rubbed me the wrong way, but I'm gonna be real, there's a reason everyone likes them. I have a couple more colors than this, but these are the three that I use the most often. I think my favorite one is gonna be this one, the 673. It's just a nice like lilac pink color, and I use it for highlighting. That's mainly what I use these for, is for highlighting things. The next most used color is gonna be this 845, and I mainly use this to mark my work schedules and like what days I worked. I don't normally use any of these for like lettering or anything like that, like most people do, or even coloring. I mainly use them as highlighters and as just like a pop of color in my planner, just something to call attention to like important information basically. And then I would say this is my third most used color, the 993. It's just this nice yellow color. I tend to use this to mark days that I've called out of work, or maybe my shift changed or something, and that's what I will use this to notate. But I really love that these have a brush tip as well as a chisel tip. So if I want to write something down, I can do that as well. But yeah, these are honestly really the only markers in my collection that I use regularly. Now, before I got into fountain pens, I was using this quite regularly. It's the Zebra Sarasa Grand, I believe. So it's the metal body. I believe this is the brown color, and the ink inside is, I believe, brown gray. So it's just a nice soft, like brownish ink. I don't really love writing in black inks, so I will normally go for a brown or something that's just like a little more toned down. I believe this is a gel pen, and I get the refills for it. Let me look. I actually have a refill behind me, so I can tell you what tip it is. So it's the 0.3 tip. I really like in gel pens using the like finer tips. And even though I am into fountain pens quite a bit, I still use this pretty often if I'm making lists or something, or if I'm writing on a non-fountain pen friendly paper, I will use this. Also, if I'm traveling, this is the pen that I tend to bring with me. Okay, now let's get into fountain pens, which is probably one of my favorite things about stationery. So this is not my first fountain pen, but it is my favorite fountain pen that I own so far. This is the Pilot Metropolitan, and I believe this is the gray houndstooth color. I have this in a stub nib, And I've seen this nib referred to in a couple different ways. I've seen it called a medium stub. On Jet Pens, where I bought it, it was called a medium italic nib. And I've also heard it called a 1.0 stub nib. Now, the ink I have in here is super light, so I don't know how much it's showing up on camera, but this is the fountain pen that really made me see the hype. I had used fountain pens before and I was like, yeah, they're fine. Like, they work, I do like them. And I used fountain pens pretty much daily before getting this one. But this one, the nib on it is just really special in my opinion. The Metropolitan is definitely on the nicer side of the fountain pen price range. I do think they just recently went up in price, which is unfortunate because I got this one for like, I think $25. But I just think this nib is so fun. It doesn't have as much of a sweet spot as other stub nibs do, just because the stub on it is so small. I think I'm running out of ink in here. Okay, sorry. I had to refill my pen. I was like, why isn't it writing? It's because it was out of ink. But I just really love how stub nibs give you a little bit of flair when you're just writing. I tend to have pretty messy cursive, and I love that it just gives like a little bit of line variation when I'm writing. It makes it feel kind of special. I guess since I had to refill this pen, I might as well talk about what ink I have in it. The color I have in here right now is the Pilot Iroshizuku inks, and it's the Hana Ikata is what I currently have. I tend to switch out the inks in my daily writers fairly frequently, like every couple months. And so I don't know if I can say I have a particular favorite ink for the year, but this is what I am currently using in this pen. And I do really like the Iroshizuku inks. I think they write just like wet enough, and I really love all of the colors that they come in. But this is the one that's currently in my Metropolitan. Okay, now on to my other daily writing pen. This is the Penlux Masterpiece Delgado in the color Moss, and it's this beautiful green and gold. And this I have in a 1.1 stub nib. Now this is also a steel nib, even though it's colored gold. But I love a gold colored nib, so I was very happy with all the gold accents. It does post. I think posting is one of my things that I need my pen to do. And this definitely has more of a... Are all of my pens running out of ink? I think so. Yeah, hold on. Let me fill this one too. Okay, I'm back again. Of course, when I try to film a YouTube video is when my pens are all running out of ink. Anyways, as I was saying, this stub nib definitely has a sweet spot, like most 1.1 stubs do. So you do have to write at like a very specific angle or it won't write. But that's just kind of something to be aware of with stubs. I use this mostly for headers in my daily journal. I occasionally will play around with lettering if I feel like I have the time, or if I just have the want to do that creative expression in my journal. But I also found that I really love writing with this, so I will tend to use this as a header one day and my Metropolitan to write my entry in, and then the next day I will swap it and I will use the Metropolitan to do the header and then this to write in. I just think that there's something a little special about big cursive, which is such a strange thing to say, but like when I look at my entries where I've used this to write the entry, I just think there's something neat about it. And listen, I know that sounds like an insane thing to say, but there's just something a little more aesthetically pleasing to me about how this looks. Like the letters are bigger, there's a lot of line variation, and like as opposed to how this looks. Like they're both nice and I like them both, which is why I tend to switch off on which one I use to write my entry. But I just love this, and I love how much shading is in this ink. So I guess I will also talk about the ink I'm using for this pen currently. This is the Robert Oster signature in Australis Rose is the color. And it doesn't show a lot of shading on this paper, but in my daily journal that I'm currently using, like you can see how much shading there is, and I just think it's so pretty to write with. So those are my favorite fountain pens currently. So we will move on to paper and notebooks now. This I got towards the end of the year, and it's just a scratch pad from Rhodia. It is, let me look. It is the Block Rhodia N16, and it is designed to fold back like this and just sit on your desk. And I have never had a scratch pad before, but I have found this so useful. Just like to jot out thinking things, stuff that you don't necessarily feel like you need to put in your journal or in your planner. Like random lists. It is just nice to sit on my desk and use this whenever I feel like I need to think things through on paper, but am not necessarily feeling like putting it in my journal. Like it's something that can be disposed of, but it's also nice and it's fountain pen friendly paper. And since we're speaking of Rhodia, we will talk about this. And this I got years ago. It is the Desk Web Notes notebook, and I believe it's in the A5 size, and it's a dot grid. I got this years ago to try bullet journaling and didn't end up using it fully. So when I wanted to try daily journaling, I jumped in here and just fell in love with daily journaling. Like, this was my best friend. But this paper is super fountain pen friendly. I feel like if you want to try daily journaling, or even if you already daily journal and you want some like nice paper that has like a good thickness to it, I think the Rhodia paper is very good. And I just think this deserves a favorites mention just because this really was the notebook that helped me stick with daily journaling and make it a habit. And I just had so much fun in this notebook. I didn't fill the whole thing. I definitely will at some point. I'm sure I'll come back to it. But I just really adored how nice this paper was. And like I said, I've had this rodeo notebook for years, and it's in pretty like okay condition for a notebook that I've had for years. Like the binding's not falling off or anything like that. Like it's scuffed up, but that's not really something that bothers me. But like you'll see notebooks where like it'll completely separate right here. Hasn't done that. And I've had this probably 3 or 4 years, I think. So that's definitely one of my favorites for the year. Now, 2025 was also the year that I started planning regularly and actually stuck with it every week. And I think the thing that really helped me figure out what I liked in a planner and what I needed in a planner was this. This is the Traveler's Notebook. I believe it's refill number 19. And it is the free weekly planner with memo. So it's just a blank planner and you just write all the dates in. It's a horizontal weekly, and then it has this memo page on the side. And this worked out so well for me for most of the year. I'm showing this page specifically because I don't know what pages in here I can and can't show, but I know for certain I can show this page. This planner was really pivotal in my planner and stationery journey into finding what I want in a planner. Like, this is what taught me that I really love a horizontal layout for a weekly. It taught me that I really need a weekly overview of everything. And honestly, you can't really go wrong with the MD paper, and I feel like it's a pretty decent price point if you're wanting to experiment with planners. It's quality, and they have a bunch of different layouts for different people who want different things for their planners. Now, I guess we'll talk about some little bits and bobs that I've used pretty regularly. One of those is this Sachihata number stamp. This is the English version, and this is just a completely modular stamp. Like, all of these individual dates come apart and you can rearrange them however you want. I will often, if I'm dating like a calendar, just like separate all of the numbers and use that as individual stamps. And I also use them as their full date. But see, you can rearrange them as well. So if you are a Monday start person, you can make it a Monday start. If you're a Sunday start person, you can make it a Sunday start. So I just feel like it's really user friendly. And for the longest time, I was looking for a date stamp because before this, I used stickers, but I was like, I don't want to buy stickers every year for the dates, especially monthly dates. So I was looking and looking, and then I came across a video talking about how over-engineered the stamp was, and I was like, that's actually perfect and is exactly what I'm looking for. Something I can change from month to month, and from year to year, and also use the numbers individually. And I do not regret buying this. I really love this. I know they also have a Japanese version, so if you prefer that, you can always get that. But yeah, this is definitely one of my favorites, one of my most used stamps for sure. Now, another little bit that I feel like is worth mentioning is the glue tape that I use. This is the Tombow Mono Dots Adhesive. They have a bunch of different versions depending on the gluing taping experience that you're looking for. This is the one I have, just the pink version, which I think is like their kind of standard version. But I love a tip-in. So like, as you can tell, I love typing things in to my journals. Like, it's one of my favorite things to do, whether it's just like a receipt from the day or like a special occasion. I really enjoy it. So once I found a glue tape that worked for me, because I used to have one from the Scotch brand and it just kept giving me nothing but problems, but this one I have not had no issues with. As long as you use it on like a flat surface, it tends to work pretty perfectly. I have a bunch of refills for this too, so if you're the kind of person that wants refills, I found mine at Michael's, so if you have a Michael's near you, they may carry it. But this is one of my favorite pieces of stationery from the year. I take this on trips with me. I am constantly using it at home. I think this is probably one of the things I use most regularly in my stationery collection. Now, last but certainly not least, I want to talk about journal covers, because I am very much a leather journal cover girly. Now, this journal cover I've had about 9 or 10 years at this point. It's been used for multiple things, from planners to sketchbooks. Right now it's currently housing my sketchbook, and I used this as my cover all last year, and I just love this cover so much. I think there's something special about leather covers and how they age over time and how they pick up scratches from just you living your daily life with your notebook. This is a Chic Sparrow leather cover. It's in the narrow size, which is the standard traveler's notebook size. And I believe this is their classic cover, because they make a bunch with pockets, and this is their classic edition, which I think is the one they came out with first. Now, there's a couple of reasons I got this all those years ago instead of a traveler's notebook. One is the traveler's notebooks are honestly almost always sold out when I'm looking to buy one, which is one of the reasons. But another one of the reasons is I was doing research all those years ago, and I found that the Chic Sparrow comes with more than one elastic. So I have this stuff over one elastic, but it has 1, 2, I think 4 total elastics in here. And that was honestly one of the main selling points for me, because I know there are ways you can get a bunch of different inserts into a traveler's notebook with their one elastic. But I just don't really want to play Jenga and Tetris with my notebooks every time I want to take one out. So the fact that I can just slip one into one elastic and then slip it out when I need to is really what I wanted. Now, inside here I have the traveler's notebook repair kit, because I couldn't find elastics to repair this anywhere. Like, I went to so many craft stores looking for just like elastics for journals, could not find any. So I ordered this online and used it to put it in new elastic, because as you can imagine, 10 years of wear, it needed some new elastic. So these are not the original elastics that came with the notebook, but I love Traveler's Notebook, so I'm not mad about having to buy one of their repair kits. Now, the charms on here are just little stitch markers that my friend made me for knitting. I wasn't really using them for that purpose, so I thought it could be fun to put them on my journal, and I think this is where they're gonna stay. I really like that they're on here. But I think that's all I had to talk about for my stationery favorites for 2025. I'm looking forward to seeing how things change over the years. It's only been a couple weeks into January, but I already have some new favorites. that I'm excited to use more in the new year. If you want to follow me anywhere else, I'm fairly active on Instagram, and I hope you guys have a lovely year.